Welcome back, everyone. I'm Courtis Fuller. We are talking about a very, very important issue today, and of course that is about foster care and adoption. It is an issue that we've been hearing a lot about, primarily because of the Marcus Faisal case, but this whole issue didn't start last summer. It's been around, and unfortunately, when you hear the numbers that we discussed a few moments ago, you realize how serious the problem is and how the solution is really within our reach. We have hope that it's within our reach, but it's not going to happen overnight unless you get involved, I get involved. That's the type of challenge that we have to get everybody involved. With me is Larry Bergeron. He is the associate pastor up at Hope Church in Mason. And we were talking about this fair that you guys had on May 19th. It just was a way of drawing attention to the issue, bringing people together. But I want to go back to some of the numbers, because as I look at some of these statistics here, it says Hamilton County in particular lags behind every large Ohio county in finding parents to adopt children. And in part, that's part of this issue, and we talked about this before. People get to a point where I think they have the desire to help, right, but somewhere along the line they say, not me. What happens?
Several factors, Curtis, I think get in the way of them completing an adoption. And it's interesting when we look at the overall statistics. More than a third of American families at some point in their family life seriously consider adoption. More than a third. And yet only 2% of American families ever complete an adoption. 4% of American families in general are adoptive families. 96% of American families are not. I think oftentimes what happens is they may begin to think about it, they may respond to what they hear in the news, hear the plight of children worldwide, and out of desire truly want to help. And then they look around for assistance and for answers. And typically the first place they look, from all the analysis that's been done, is their place of worship. And when the church is not equipped, or the place of worship is not equipped to provide them counsel, support, or guidance, then they become disillusioned, and they begin their search begins to fade, and their dream begins to go away. Most often that is the case. Oftentimes as well, when they look in other situations, they'll try to get involved with the process. Financial issues can sometimes be a concern for them. The length of time required to complete an adoption. And in some scenarios, if they're in a foster care situation, the primary purpose of the foster care system is to provide reunification of the child with the original family. And sometimes they may have concerns about they could become attached to this child, bonded emotionally, in love with this child, and then face the potential risk that this child could be reunited with their family. And for some, that would be a major concern.
Based on, and you're more of an expert than I ever could be on this subject, but based on those statistics that you've mentioned, and based on where we are as a society in dealing with this challenge, I mean, how realistic is it that this is solvable within the next, I'll say 10 to 20 years? Because it appears that part of the issue is people are just afraid to get involved. And as I said, it's not just on this issue, it's on several fronts.
Yeah. And I think in every situation in society that we face, a medical challenge or otherwise, if we're not capable, if we don't rise to the occasion and take the challenge on, it can only worsen. And I believe the problem is solvable, and I believe that we can, in this system, in the United States system anyways, greatly improve the ability and the numbers and percentages of foster care kids, especially, who are bonded in forever families. I'll give you an example. Out in Denver, Colorado, that great city, some churches there identified the need, and they decided that they were going to work with the state system. This is places of worship, united in partnership with the state job and family services, coming together to be sure that all those children in Denver had permanent homes. You know something? They committed to the city. If there's a child, we're going to get them into a home. And they work in partnership together, and they are making a tremendous headway into that problem. So I know that it can be done. There's an existence proof there. Someone has estimated not that long ago that to solve the world's orphan problem, of 143 million orphans, it would take approximately $50 billion to improve the systems that are in place to get better situations for these children and better points of care. $50 billion, which is a lot of money. And yet, when you look at the numbers, we spend $17 billion a year on cosmetics in this country. We spend tens of billions of dollars on bottled water. We spend $15 billion a year on cologne and fragrances. And yet it would take $50 billion to help improve the orphan care situation in the world's population. It's doable, but it's a matter of people really looking at the magnitude of the problem, moved in their heart, and say, we are going to commit together as a community to fix this issue. When we mentioned before about one church can't do it alone, I'm convinced, Courtis, that one church cannot fix it. But churches locked arm in arm, not fighting over territory, not disputing over doctrinal issues, which sometimes so much gets in the way, but saying, you know, for the sake of these children, we're going to lock arms together and make a difference in this world and leave the world better than when we found it. That's a coalition of care that we're really concerned and committed to accomplishing.
Two phrases you've used that I think really describe this whole issue. I love the term forever home and coalition of care. I mean, those are two phrases that I think people should latch on to. And powerful statements that you're making. When we come back, we'll talk about specifics on what will be done between now and, let's say, the next 6 months or so, how people can get involved and give some numbers and things of that nature. We'll be back in a moment.